If you ever hear a child crying outside your house late at night, never open the door, because it might not be a human child at all. Deep in a lonely area of Texas, Daniel lived with his wife Emma and their 8-year-old daughter Sophie inside an old farmhouse surrounded by forests and empty roads. There were no nearby neighbors for miles, and during the night the silence around the house felt almost unnatural. Sometimes even the sound of the wind felt disturbing, but Daniel had always felt something strange about the farmhouse. Many nights he had the feeling that someone was standing outside watching the house from the darkness. Sometimes soft knocking sounds came from the windows, but whenever he checked outside, nobody was there. Emma had asked him many times to move away from that place, but Daniel always laughed it off. Then one night everything changed. Around 2:17 a.m., Daniel suddenly woke up. Heavy rain crashed outside while strong winds shook the windows. Then he heard it, the soft sound of a little girl crying somewhere outside the house. At first he thought he was dreaming, but a few seconds later the crying came again. Louder this time. Emma woke up too and whispered nervously, "Did you hear that?" Daniel slowly walked toward the window and looked outside. Under the yellow porch light, a little girl stood completely still in the rain. She wore a white dress soaked with water, and her long, wet hair covered most of her face. She kept crying softly. Daniel felt sorry for her. "Maybe she got lost," he said quietly. But suddenly Emma grabbed his arm tightly. Her voice trembled with fear. "Don't open the door." Daniel looked confused. "Why?" Emma slowly pointed downward. "Look at her feet." Daniel looked carefully and his blood froze instantly. The girl's feet were backwards. Her heels pointed forward while her toes faced behind her. She was not standing like a normal human being. Then suddenly the girl stopped crying and slowly lifted her head. Her face remained hidden inside the darkness, but her smile was clearly visible. Then in a soft whisper she said, "Let me inside." At that exact moment, Sophie walked out of her bedroom. Her eyes looked half closed as if she was sleepwalking. Slowly, she began walking directly toward the front door. Emma panicked. "Sophie, stop!" But Sophie did not stop. She stood in front of the door and slowly smiled. Then in a strange voice she whispered, "She is alone. Let her inside." Daniel's body started shaking. He quickly pulled Sophie away from the door. Suddenly, the little girl outside began knocking softly. Knock, knock, knock. The sound echoed through the entire house. Then all the lights inside the farmhouse suddenly shut off at the same time. Darkness swallowed everything. Emma screamed in terror. A few seconds later, loud footsteps began running upstairs. Thump, thump, thump. It sounded like someone sprinting violently across the hallway. But nobody else was supposed to be inside the house. Daniel grabbed a flashlight with trembling hands and slowly walked toward the stairs. The moment he reached the upper hallway, his heart nearly stopped. At the end of the hallway stood the same little girl, but now he could clearly see her face. Her eyes were completely black and her smile stretched unnaturally wide across her face. Then she softly whispered, "I am already inside." Suddenly, Sophie screamed loudly downstairs. Daniel ran back down as fast as he could. The moment he reached the living room, his breath stopped. The front door was standing wide open. Outside in the rain, small wet footprints covered the muddy ground, and those footprints led directly toward Sophie's bedroom. Emma cried desperately, "Where is Sophie?" Then soft laughter echoed from inside Sophie's room. Daniel slowly walked toward the bedroom. The door stood slightly open and complete darkness filled the room. With shaking hands, he pushed the door open. Sophie was sitting quietly on her bed with her head lowered and her hair covering her face. Daniel sighed with relief. But then Sophie slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were completely black, and standing behind her in the corner of the room was the same little girl. This time her smile looked even bigger. Then Sophie spoke again in that strange, unnatural voice. Now she will stay here. Suddenly the bedroom door slammed shut by itself. Emma screamed and started banging on the door while horrifying laughter echoed from inside the room. Then Sophie's scream exploded through the entire farmhouse. Daniel used all his strength and finally broke the door open. The moment the door crashed open, his blood turned cold. The room was empty. Sophie was gone. The little girl was gone. The only thing left inside the room were wet handprints covering the walls. And between those handprints, a message had been written in blood. She is not your daughter anymore. Friends, if you want to discover what
Subscribe to this channel right now because the next part will be even more terrifying.